Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a moment to honor a legend, a man whose fingerprints are all over some of the most iconic music of the last 60 years. On May 26, 2025, the music world lost Rick Derringer, a trailblazing guitarist, singer, songwriter, and producer who played with the greats, scored hits of his own, and shaped rock, blues, and even comedy music with his exceptional talent. He was 77 years old at the time of his passing, and in those 77 years, he lived a life of creative brilliance that touched generations of listeners. Whether you know him from Hang On Sloopy, Rock and Roll, Hoochie Koo, or his unexpected work with Weird Al and Hogan, Derringer's musical journey is nothing short of epic. Today, we're celebrating that journey from his small-town beginnings to the world stage, from teenage stardom to Grammy-winning productions. So sit back, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's dive into the full story of Rick Derringer, one of the true architects of modern American rock. Rick Derringer was born Richard Dean Derringer on August 5, 1947, in Fort Recovery, Ohio, a small Midwestern town that gave no hint of the stardom that would lie ahead. Like many greats, he found his calling early. By the time he was a teenager, Rick was already a gifted guitarist with a passion for blues, rock and roll, and the emerging sounds of the 1960s. His first real band was called the McCoys, formed with his brother Randy and some school friends. They played high school dances, clubs, and small venues until they got the break every band dreams of, a major label deal. In 1965, they released the song, Hang On Sloopy, a cover of a track originally recorded by the Vibrations. But Derringer's version? It exploded. The song hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, famously knocking the Beatles' Yesterday off the top spot. Suddenly, Rick Derringer wasn't just a kid with a guitar, he was a national star. Hang On Sloopy became more than just a hit. It became a rock anthem, later adopted as the official rock song of the state of Ohio, and a staple at Ohio State University football games. Derringer was just 17, but he had already written himself into music history. After the success of the McCoys, Rick Derringer could have faded into nostalgia. But instead, he doubled down. By the early 1970s, he was working with blues rock icon Johnny Winter as a guitarist and collaborator. During this time, Derringer wrote a track that would become a defining moment in his career, Rock and Roll, Hoochie Koo. He first recorded it in 1970 as a member of Johnny Winter, but it wasn't until 1973, when he re-recorded it for his solo album All American Boy, that the track caught fire. The single became a rock radio staple, bold, brash, and full of swagger. That unforgettable guitar riff. Pure Derringer. His vocals struck the perfect balance between blues grit and arena rock bravado. All American Boy wasn't just a one-hit album, it was a statement. Derringer had arrived as a solo force, not just a sideman or former teen star. He would follow up with other albums like Spring Fever, showcasing his evolving songwriting and his ability to blend rock, blues, funk, and pop into something distinctively his own. Rock and roll, Hoochie Koo has since appeared in dozens of movies, TV shows, and video games. It's a touchstone of the classic rock era, and it remains Rick Derringer's signature solo anthem. What truly separates Rick Derringer from many of his peers is the sheer volume and variety of musicians he worked with. Throughout the 70s and 80s, Derringer was the guitarist everyone wanted in their studio or on their tour. He played a pivotal role in the careers of Johnny Winter and Edgar Winter, appearing on albums like They Only Come Out at Night, which featured hits like Frankenstein and Free Ride. Derringer's guitar work wasn't just impressive, it was foundational to those songs' sound. But that was just the beginning. He also recorded or performed with artists like Alice Cooper, Todd Rundgren, Bonnie Tyler, and even the famously perfectionist Steely Dan. For a guy who started with 3 chords and a teenage dream, Derringer proved to be an incredibly flexible musician capable of moving from gritty rock to complex jazz-influenced pop and everything in between. He was also a respected producer, and perhaps one of his most surprising partnerships was with none other than Lord Al Yankovic. Derringer produced several of Al's albums during the 1980s, including Eat It, which won a Grammy and parodied Michael Jackson with genius-level wit. It was a totally different genre, but Derringer's production instincts helped make it shine. From guitar solos to studio boards, Rick Derringer was an all-around musical powerhouse. In the mid-1980s, Rick Derringer entered the world of professional wrestling, but not in the way you'd expect. He co-wrote and recorded Real American, a track meant for a wrestling tag team, but ultimately adopted by Hulk Hogan, the face of the World Wrestling Federation during its rise to global superstardom. That song, with its soaring guitars and bold vocals, became Hogan's iconic entrance music. It played in arenas around the world, becoming an unofficial anthem of 80s Americana. For many fans, Real American was the soundtrack to childhood Saturday mornings, pay-per-view spectacles, and endless replay moments of Hogan hulking up. Derringer's contribution to pop culture didn't end with music fans, it extended to wrestling, TV, video games, and patriotic compilations. Real American is still used today in memes, political events, and nostalgic retrospectives. It's a cultural relic and it's pure Rick Derringer. that followed, Rick Derringer continued to tour, record, and mentor younger musicians. He embraced his role as a rock elder statesman, appearing at festivals, collaborating on tribute albums, and releasing solo work well into the 2000s. Though health issues began to affect him, he battled diabetes and underwent triple bypass surgery. Derringer remained musically active. He relocated to Ormond Beach, Florida, where he continued writing and occasionally performing until the end. When news of his passing came on May 26, 2025, tributes poured in from every corner of the music world. Fellow musicians, fans, and even pro wrestlers expressed their gratitude for a career that was both humble and heroic. Rick Derringer wasn't always in the spotlight, but he was always in the mix, shaping songs, lifting other artists, and quietly helping to build the soundtrack of American life. Rick Derringer's name might not always be front and center, but his sound is everywhere. From classic rock stations to wrestling arenas, from teenage anthems to Grammy-winning parodies, his fingerprints are on it all. He was a rare breed of artist, one who could lead a band, back a legend, produce a chart topper, and never lose his passion for the craft. A true musician's musician. So here's to Rick Derringer, an all-American boy, who became an all-time great. Thank you for the music, the memories, and the spirit of rock and roll. Drop your favorite Rick Derringer moment in the comments below. Was it Hang On Sloopy, Rock and Roll, Hoochie Koo, or something else entirely? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more deep dive music retrospectives, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Rest in peace, Rick Derringer. Your music plays on.